All right, interweb. Our previous conversation was not my favorite conversation. I was unhappy with how that turned out because I wasn't prepared enough. I didn't do the correct research to be able to make this go as smoothly as I wanted it to go. But now that history has been our guide, I can help to provide you with answers on how to make this just the smoothest setup that it can be. So, things to know. First, while the NewTek PTZ1 NDI camera, or NDI PTZ1, will operate on Power over Ethernet, it's not just Power over Ethernet, it's PoE plus, Power over Ethernet plus. And the distinction, you'll forgive my reading, the PoE standard 802.3 Alpha Foxtrot AF maxes out at 15.4 watts apparently per port, and the real deal that you need for this camera to operate over PoE is PoE plus, or 802.3 AT Alpha Tango, which can get you up to 25.5 watts. So while PoE will get the camera to turn on, it will not operate the servos or the motors inside that turn and position the camera. So if you're going to go the route of Power over Ethernet, make sure that the switch that you're using has PoE plus. That's an important takeaway. Now, I did have the right software, and let us switch to show you the website. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of time working on software. You can go to the main page for either of the tools that we've been discussing. The firmware is a nice upgrade to do, or an important upgrade to do, but it's not absolutely necessary to the operation of the camera. The NDI HX, or HX, you're welcome, Mike, driver is what you absolutely need to be able to see the tools or the camera at work. So the thing you want to download for either of these products, for the NDI PTZ1 or for the Connect Spark, you'll want to download the NDI HX driver. Have that installed before you hook up the camera or whatever device you've got. That's the thing that's going to make it happen. That's the thing that's going to make it work. And I actually have it for both product pages, the downloads. You can see here again, the NDI HX driver is the important thing to have. It's good, it's smart to go in and update the firmware, but you can't even do that until you've got NDI HX driver installed and running. So take that with you, put it in your pocket. That would have made all the difference. Last night's show would have been a lot more rewarding had we had that in place. That and Power over Ethernet plus. So I have had to suffer. I have had to plug in both of these devices. They're both sucking the energy out of my wall. And it kills me, but I'm going to be all right. The Connect Spark, by the way, does not have a Power over Ethernet option. That we expected to have to plug in for power anyway. So get that NDI HX driver, and that is going to make everything wonderful. Now I can show you, like desktop, this is the studio monitor that comes with the NDI HX drivers. This is the output of the camera. Hello, hello. It also gives you the PTZ capability. It can work a lot faster than it is right now. Oh, I don't want to show you my mess. Don't look at my mess. Nope. You can hear it really spinning up. The longer and the further you go, the faster it wants to go. So I dig it. So let me get back up. We can zoom in. We can zoom out. Oh, we can even take a look at our little brother. That's the Connect Spark, which is plugged into that camcorder to make use of its beautiful HDMI signal. All right, so that one's working. And we can also, using the studio monitor, switch to, woohoo! That is sourced from the webcam that is plugged into the Connect Spark, and it's pointing at the NDI PTZ1. And what you'll notice is the problem that I still have right now. Right now, for some reason, this monitor is seen as 4:3 aspect ratio. And that is not how my world is supposed to work. It's supposed to be 16.9. And when I look at the configuration tool, we can see that it shows up as 16:9 here. So I've already posted to the forums. I don't have an answer yet on what's going wrong, why it's showing up in both the studio monitor and in vMix as 4:3 when it's supposed to be 16:9. So that's another mystery that needs to be solved. By the way, hey, this is the built-in website that lives inside these machines and allows you to configure the machines. So you can switch to low bandwidth mode, which I believe is standard definition. Medium bandwidth mode gives you 720p, high bandwidth mode gives you 1080p. We can use the audio coming through the HDMI signal or from the NDI PTX1 by clicking on digital, or we can click analog and use the signal that's being piped in via the 3.5 millimeter jacks on either of the devices. So we got that going for us. We can also go in and set up Ethernet, which I do recommend. Wi-Fi, which I do not recommend, because Wi-Fi has inherent overhead. It does error correction that can cause buffering in your video signal, and nobody likes overhead. Nobody. Multicast, I have not been in here. And I probably don't want to share any of this information. Local link failsafe just means that you could plug your laptop directly into these devices, and there's an IP address that you can go to access it. Even if you don't have a switch, you can just plug Ethernet directly into it. So that's awesome. What else have we got? Nothing super interesting there. Let's break off that and switch back to the PTZ. Take a look at our configuration options here. Now, with the PTZ1, you do not get to see a preview image. And I don't know why that is. It does function. This tool does function. I am logged in correctly. I can verify that the camera is moving up and down as I click on the buttons to move it up and down. So it's functioning just fine. I don't know why it's not saving the image or displaying the image for preview. I can switch to video settings where, again, I can set exposure, picture, white balance, focus. Clearly there's much more control here because there's actually a camera. The Connect Spark doesn't have the magical ability to jump into your camera and change settings. Audio settings, again, I can go line or mic. Mic is what's built in, line is what would be plugged in. I've disabled audio on this camera because I don't want the disgusting sound that comes with all the feedback. Lots and lots of control over the camera. Video source, again, I can do low, medium, high, zoom, PTZ controls here, and I can store and recall presets. And under admin, clearly I can change the password, which of course, let that be the first thing you do. But every time you update firmware, it's going to revert back to the default password, or at least that was my experience when I updated my firmware. Network settings I don't want to mess with. Another kind of silly thing is that I just cannot get this to stay on automatic and keep correct time. Sure, that's not a difficult problem to fix, but it's just not one that I've been able to resolve myself. I just lack that kind of power. So let me first get rid of the additional sources that I have here. And I want to show how simple it is. Once you've got the NDI HX, again, that's for you, Mike, the drivers installed. Once those are installed and you've rebooted the machine, you can plug in to the same network. NewTek recommends a gigabit Ethernet. Then, here's my vMix. We can go to Add Input, NDI, and when I open this, it's going to show me every NDI source that I have available on the network. And isn't that neat? This is the Connect Spark. This is a signal from the NDI PTZ1. And you can see here, it's still showing me a 16:9 aspect ratio. Now look at that for yourself, 16:9, right? I'm not nuts, that's what's happening, right? I'll double click, I'll switch to it, and look at that. All of a sudden, we're stretched, or we're squashed into 4:3. So that makes me unhappy. But let's not dwell on my feelings. Let's add the other NDI source. There it is. And while we're working with that NDI source, let's go to its properties. We can see the preview image coming from it. And look at that, PTZ. So I've got PTZ control over this. It's not there yet, just wait for it. Right from inside vMix, which is really, really handy. But we have to know to select Sony. By the way, credit to Steve on the forums, in vMix forums, gave me this bit of information. Select the Sony VISCA over IP option, and we have to know the IP address, and this is something that I expect vMix will probably make automatic, because it's not as if they don't know the IP address of the thing that you're already looking at. But I happen to know what it is in this instance. And once I've connected, guess what? There's another great thing. So I can move up and down. You can see there's a little lag in vMix right now. It's quite possible that I'm just doing too much with this machine with so many different desktops. But yeah, you saw the movement. You can see when it catches up. There we go. Okay, we're going to pretend like this. Let's go up just a little bit. Like this is one of the stopping points that we want for this camera. So I'm going to click Create Input at this position. So we've done it. We've created an input at this position, and I think that that's input number 5. So let's remember that, input number 5. Now we're going to look down. I really wish I were catching up a little better. And now we've got an image of the Connect Spark, and I'm going to, oh, that was input 6. You guys were going to let me do that. I'll click Create Input at this position, and that's going to be input number 7. And then, oh, why not? We're going to look over at the corner to see a part of my mess. Oh, yes. And we'll let that be input number 8. So I think we're all done with that. And now understand, in a real world situation, when you're switching video between different PTZ cameras, you're going to have your shot, and then your backup shot, you'll change its position. So you'll have the backup shot, the one that's off scene right now, zooming into position. And then when it's there, you switch to that camera. And then the previous scene that you just left, you can turn it to its next shot in preparation so that you can switch to it and you never have to see the moving. I explain that because what I'm about to do is not that. What I'm about to do is just show you the quick and dirty version of what we just set up with the shots 6, 7, and 8. And let's do it first here on the desktop. And we're watching preview here. So my shot 6, my shot 7, my shot 8. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're really taxing this machine right now. Now we'll just cut to 6. Oh, I have to scroll. 7. 8. 7. 6. You can see the amazing lag that I've got going on right now. I do not blame the gear. I blame having several different desktop captures set up and all the different things I'm asking this laptop to do right now. But anyway, I wanted to be able to share, we've gotten to the bottom of that mystery. First, Power over Ethernet plus, once again, 802.3AT Alpha Tango. Power over Ethernet plus to power the camera. And the NDI HX drivers are the keys to making that a fast setup. And I could easily imagine having installed the software being up and running in 5 minutes. I can imagine having the box, opening the box, and having that as a video source in vMix or on a TriCaster or whatever switching, XSplit, whatever encoder or video switching software you use, I can see being up and running in 5 minutes with the software installed or with the drivers installed as I've described. So anyway, thanks for your attention. Sorry for the big letdown last night. I hope that this information is useful to you. And good day.